Hi, I'm Rhett, and welcome to this training on experts you should avoid and how to identify true expertise. Many experts are self-proclaimed or they're appointed by their company to a position of expertise, even though they have little experience that would qualify them as a true expert. There are also many different types of experts, and not every expert will help you when it comes to what you need in your testing and optimization program. Consultancies and agencies may not have your best interest in mind when it comes to testing because of the nature of the sales relationship. By learning the correct principles and theories of the discipline of testing, you'll become your own expert and you'll be able to more effectively build a solid testing program. You will be able to more readily spot the self-proclaimed experts because you'll know more than them. In his book Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell popularized the 10,000-hour rule, but time alone is not enough to make someone an expert. You have to also consider talent and ability. If I spent 10,000 hours practicing my accounting, I still wouldn't be that great an accountant because that's not where my natural talents and abilities lie. While 10,000 hours of work in the field is good, true experts are those that put in the time but also complement that with natural talent and ability. Gladwell himself said, "Achievement is talent plus preparation." Since the discipline of testing is a cognitively demanding field, you also have to consider what was done in those 10,000 hours. Some people will run a few tests at one company and they'll consider themselves an expert, but these people miss out on seeing the wide array of circumstances and problems and situations that contribute to expert knowledge. 10,000 hours at one company wouldn't give you the same exposure as if you spend that 10,000 hours consulting for hundreds of companies. Some people have been in the industry for 10,000 hours, but on closer inspection, they haven't spent their time accumulating expertise in any one area. I'm happy to report that I've spent well over 10,000 hours consulting companies on testing and optimization. My time has been spent gaining wide exposure as I've consulted hundreds of companies and seen thousands of tests. I was the leader of a budding optimization team at Omniture and then Adobe, where I helped establish the foundation of successful testing. I also like to believe I have talent in the field, as evidenced by my success with my clients and my ability to translate the patterns of success into theories that can be applied by any company. Having been an expert and a trusted advisor to the biggest and best companies out there, I've been dismayed to see that so many self-proclaimed experts will recommend something that isn't in the best interest of the client. I've seen actions and tests that had no solid foundation and that were purely guesswork or a random idea. Because I've seen so many self-proclaimed experts leave their clients astray, I want to highlight some of the pseudo experts that I've seen in the digital optimization industry. There are 5 types of experts that we need to be aware of as we consider the best decisions for our company as we try to take expert advice. The first expert to be aware of are what I call the I Spy experts. Far too many experts will prescribe very specific tests based on previous tests they've seen work at a different company. I call these the I Spy experts because they only know how to recommend these very specific tests that they've seen work somewhere else. These I Spy experts are like the peeping toms of the digital testing optimization world, and the real problem with them is they only know how to recommend specific tests and not principles of action or theory. Just because a test worked at one company, it doesn't mean it will work again in a completely different situation with a completely different company. People may look the same, animals may look the same, and objects may look the same, but websites do not look the same, and they definitely don't have the same purpose. No two websites are the same, and it's my opinion that the subtle and dramatic differences between websites make it counterproductive and in some cases even worse to recommend something that you saw work at a different company with a different website. Now please don't misunderstand. I realize there are lots of similar things like buttons, backgrounds, and layouts that have a higher potential for multiplying learnings, but the kind of testing that I'm advocating goes much deeper than recommending a very specific test. It's testing that's based on principles of action and theory. This kind of ongoing, iterative, disciplined testing approach that I'm advocating requires much more theory than a few silver bullet test ideas that an I Spy expert will give you. Recommending a theoretical approach or a pattern for learning is very different than recommending a very specific test with a very specific action. The next expert to be aware of is the tool expert. The majority of experts that I see in the digital marketing industry are those that are just very good with a tool. These tool experts might be compared to a chess expert that only knows how the pieces move, but doesn't know the strategies of actually playing the game of chess. If a client tells them to push the pawn forward, they know how to do it, and they're happy to do it for the client. However, if the client asks them for advice and strategies on how to actually play the game, disaster awaits. These tool experts come equipped with tool abilities to solve any problem the client can throw at them. Because they know the ins and outs of the tool, they know how to do anything that the client will ask of them. The problem is, though, most of them never stop to think if they should actually do that. They build tests and make recommendations based on technical knowledge, but they don't have a solid strategic foundation to evaluate alternative courses of action. These tool experts shouldn't be considered as strategic advisors, but the irony is they see themselves as very strategic in nature. They see themselves much different than they actually are, and because they see themselves as strategic experts, they end up making some of the worst tests that I see. The third expert to be aware of is the new hire expert. The man in this cartoon says, "I know nothing about the subject, but I'm happy to give you my expert opinion." Unfortunately, this scenario plays itself out almost every day as companies rely on the new hire for expert advice. The challenge for the client is they don't know which consultants in the agency or consultancy are new hires because they've been appointed by that company to be their consultant. You've probably seen these new hire experts. When you ask them a question, they never give you a straight answer, and they're always looking into it because they need to go and ask other people who know more than them what the answer is. Also, when you ask them a question, there are long periods of time between asking and actually receiving the answer because these consultants have to go and research and figure out the answers on their own. The new hire experts rarely make any recommendations on their own, and they're happy to let the clients just keep talking. Because of their lack of experience, they don't know a better course of action, so they never challenge what's being asked of them. The new hire tends to focus much more on the tool, not because they're a tool expert, but because as a new hire, it's the first thing they learn, and so it's the only place that they feel comfortable. The new hire expert will rarely have any examples or stories or patterns that they learn from other clients and the theory that can be derived from that. And that's one reason we have to beware of the new hire expert. Another expert to be aware of are what I call the best buddy experts. Some experts are more concerned with making sure that the client relationship is all positive. These best buddy experts know that an unhappy client can affect their consulting career or can affect their company profits if that client doesn't renew with them. Because of this, these best buddy experts won't do anything to rock the boat, even if they know that the ship is sinking. Rather than throw a lifesaver, these best buddy experts will sit back and let the client do whatever they want. They never push back, even if the client is about to do something extremely stupid. The best buddy consultants will smile and nod and go with the flow, even at the expense of time and money that's being lost by the client. The best buddy experts are the yes men of the industry. They'll do anything that's asked of them, even if there are several reasons why they should be saying no. Just doing whatever a client asks isn't expertise. A true expert is one that can challenge ideas and help companies find the best solution for the resources that they have available. The best buddy experts are sometimes the most dangerous because they're really friendly and the client has a good relationship with them. The relationship becomes more and more important than the actual actions that are taking place because as humans, we all like good relationships. When companies find themselves with a best buddy expert, they're happy to work with that person, but the success that they receive is often limited. The final expertise that we need to be aware of is our own expertise. Most of us see ourselves like a superhero, and we see everyone else as barely even evolved. But the reality is that most of us are somewhere in between those two. I think deep down, the majority of humans like to believe that the way that they think is superior to everyone else. We all have our personal biases that tell us that we're better and smarter than everyone else around us. From a survival standpoint, that can be a great thing. But from a testing and optimization standpoint, that can be disastrous because when you think you know everything, you stop learning what works. There's a cognitive bias called the illusion of explanatory depth. And what it is we tend to overestimate our knowledge of things, but when we have to explain or teach that knowledge in detail, we find that we know very little on the subject. We're kind of like this teenager who thought he was just jumping into a puddle. He thought it was simple, he thought it was easy, he could do it. He didn't know the depth of what he was jumping into. We are just like him. We overestimate our depth of knowledge on the subject until something forces us to come to terms with how little we actually know. When it comes to testing, most people view it as a simple and an easy thing, and they overestimate their knowledge in being able to test well, and they underestimate the depth of knowledge needed to be able to create a successful testing program. They jump in, and they find that the depth is much deeper than they thought. I've seen many companies tell us that they had the testing strategy covered, and they didn't need help in that department. All they needed was a tool expert. I would then see these companies who had such profound strategic knowledge turn out some of the worst tests, receive very little ROI, and create a very poor, mediocre testing program. These people may have been very strategic in their own right, but they didn't understand the theories behind good testing. They overestimated their own depth of knowledge, and they underestimated what it takes to build a successful testing program. I want to help you be a successful testing expert by teaching you the theories that the true experts use. You may already know a lot, and you may be very strategic in your own right. What I want to do is help you learn the testing theories so you can better apply them in context, get success even faster, get ROI, and receive more profits. In 1906, Vilfred Pareto discovered that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the people. After further analysis, he discovered what's called today the Pareto principle, which is also known as the 80-20 rule. This rule says that 80% of the value comes from 20% of the effort. Or in the case of experts, it's my estimate that about 20% truly are experts, and the other 80% fall under one of the categories that we've already talked about. As a company, you don't want to put your revenue stream at risk by following one of the 80% of the self-proclaimed experts when it's the 20% of experts, the true experts, who are giving all the value. The question then is, how can we know a true expert from a self-proclaimed expert? It's my opinion that the true experts are those that have a real depth of knowledge, and they show that depth of knowledge by being able to teach others the patterns and theories that they can take for success. Any expert recommendation should be based on theory and not very specific actions or very specific things they've seen work somewhere else. A true expert is one that can challenge ideas and find the best solutions for the resources that company has. A true expert is one that considers alternative solutions, and they're always trying to find the best solution and new ways of doing things. The true expert is one that will push back against the client, even at the cost of their relationship, because they are more concerned about doing the right thing than about the relationship itself. This entire training course will focus on and teach you the theories of solid testing and optimization. The theories that I'll teach you were learned from seeing the patterns of success and failure across hundreds of clients. Good theory can be applied to any site and any company, regardless of your business model, your resources, or your experience testing. My goal is to empower you to create your own testing program, apply correct principles in it, and maximize your success in as little time as possible. Companies everywhere are paying thousands of dollars per month for expert advice, but with the proper theory, they can become their own expert, and so can you. So let's begin.